Hi everyone! In this chapter, we're going to discuss the values-based coaching and the coach's role in moral development.
In this topic, we're going to highlight how coaches can support athletes' moral development through values-based coaching and explore coach-athlete moral development and positive coaching environment. Emphasize the 3 E's to help coaches promote moral growth and athletes' engagement. In sports, values are shaped by everyone involved: players, coaches, referees, sponsors, and even those working behind the scenes like kit managers and supporters. Sport creates opportunity for both players and spectators to explore ethical behaviors and test their personal values. Sports do not directly teach values but provide moments where people can learn them, either consciously or unconsciously. Now, let's move on the 3 E's of values-based coaching. First is ethicality. Ethics is about how we should act and make moral decisions, a topic discussed by philosophers for centuries. One of the earliest and most influential theories in moral psychology was based on Kant's ethical philosophy. Kant believed that morality is based on strict rules, duties, and obligations. In sports, this can be seen in how people judge athletes who use banned substances, often blaming and questioning their character. Research has shown that blame affects how we see a person's moral character.
Ethicality. Consequentialism is often viewed as a cold and calculating ideology that seeks to maximize good while minimizing harm. Consequentialism is a branch of ethical theory that evaluates the morality of actions based on their outcomes or consequences. This ideology is often perceived as a cold and calculating, as it focuses primarily on maximizing good and minimizing harm. However, consequentialism is not monolithic. It compasses a various forms that reflects different perspectives on ethical decision making. However, consequentialism comes in many forms including but not limited to utilitarianism, ethical egoism, and teleological ethics. Utilitarianism is perhaps the most well-known form of consequentialism. This theory, most famously articulated by philosophers Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill, posits that the rightness or wrongness of an action is determined by its ability to produce the greatest happiness of the greatest number of people. In other words, actions are considered moral if they lead to positive outcomes that enhance overall well-being. Utilitarianism opposites the principle of utility, which suggests the pleasures and happiness are the highest goods. For example, in a moral dilemma, a utilitarian would evaluate the potential consequences of each option and choose the one that maximizes happiness. While this approach promotes altruism and collective welfare, it has its criticisms. Detractors argue that it can justify harmful actions against a minority if those actions benefits a majority, raising concerns about justice and individual rights. Excellence of character. Aristotle suggests that there are two different kinds of human excellences: excellence of character and excellence of thought. Excellences of character are often referred to as the embodiment of moral virtues such as fairness, trustworthiness, and honesty. According to Blasi, however, excellence of character can be defined by 3 higher order virtues: integrity, moral desires, and willpower. For Blasi, willpower, integrity, and moral desires are less susceptible such as debate. Although moral character is viewed as a complex and multifaceted, the core of character is relatively straightforward. Aristotle distinguishes between two essential types of human excellences: excellence of character and excellence of thought. While excellence of thought pertains to intellectual virtues like wisdom and understanding, excellence of character is focused on moral virtues that guide our actions and interactions. Important moral virtues include fairness, trustworthiness, and honesty, qualities that are crucial for building strong relationships and just a society. Expanding on Aristotle's ideas, philosopher Blasi identified 3 higher order virtues that define excellence of character: integrity, moral desire, and willpower. Integrity is commitment to act according to one's values and principles, ensuring that one's action reflects a consistent moral stance. It is foundational trust, both in oneself and in relationship with others. Moral desires represent the instinct motivations that drive individual toward ethical behavior. These desires align with our values and push us to act in ways that benefit not only ourselves but also others. This aspect emphasizes the importance of having a genuine commitment to doing good. Willpower, the third virtue refers to the strength and determination to act according to one's moral convictions, especially when faced with challenges or temptation. It is what helps individuals stay true to their beliefs and make ethical choices even under pressure. Although moral character is often seen as complex and multifaceted, Blasey argued that its core components, integrity, moral desire, and willpower, are relatively straightforward and less likely to be debated. This simplicity allows for a clearer understanding of what it means to have a good character. In essence, the foundation of excellence in character lies in these three virtues, which guide individuals toward ethical living and contribute to a more just society. By embodying these qualities, individuals not only enhance their own morality integrity, but also positively impact those around them.
When dealing with others, consistency in words and actions and a belief that they hold moral intentions are of primary concern as they build the perception that the individual can be relied upon. So it emphasizes the importance of aligning words and actions. So people are more likely to trust someone when their behavior matches their communications. So it also builds when others perceive you as having good intentions and acting ethically. So, the combined effect of consistent behavior and perceived moral intent leads to establishing a reputation as someone who can be relied upon. Further, such responses act as a useful source of social information and permit the perceiver to gauge intent towards prosocial action, whether the individual is worthy of investment and likely to behave in a considerate and cooperative manners. So, it is how we use social cues and observe behaviors to evaluate others and make judgment about their trustworthiness and potential for positive social engagement. Aristotle proposes excellences of thought to be intellectual virtues such as technical expertise and practical wisdom. So, Aristotle philosophy highlighting that intellectual virtues, including the technical skills and practical wisdom, are considered forms of excellence in thought. So, despite nearly 40 years of research, defining technical expertise within the realm of sports coaching has been problematic. So, this acknowledged the difficulty in clearly defining technical expertise in sports coaching despite of extensive research effort. So authors have historically used win-lose percentages, athlete attributes, length of time in coaching, and level of competitions as approaches to define coaching expertise. So, although the mention of character here is welcome, possessing virtuous qualities is just one aspect of moral development and fails to consider moral functioning and the alternate philosophical position available. So, its critiques the tendency to equate moral development with simply possessing virtuous qualities. So, it argues for a more nuanced understanding that includes moral functioning and explore alternative philosophical perspective. So, in short, it's saying that being a good coach or an expert in anything is more than just having skills. It also involves being wise and acting morally, and figuring out what that means is complex. In terms of practical wisdom, coaches and athletes require a combination of perceptual attunement, complex understanding, motivation of excellence, and the capacity of use this expertise to demonstrate normatively appropriate decision making and behavior. So, it emphasizes the multifaceted nature of practical wisdom in sports. So, it is a quickly and accurately perceive relevant information in a situation, a deep grasp of a sports, its rules, strategies, and nuances of human interactions, drive to achieve high standards and improve continuously, and acting in a way that align with ethical and social norms within the sporting context. Based on Rest's four-component model of moral functioning, coaches and athletes should first be sensitive to environmental cues and consider the impact of any potential action on the welfare of others. So, it introduces James Rest's four components model of moral functioning and applies it to the sports. So, in moral sensitivity, it is recognizing ethical dilemmas and understanding how one's action can affect others. So, the importance of coaches and athletes being aware of their surroundings and considering the ethical implications of their choices. So in overall, that effective coaches and athletes need not only technical skills but also strong ethical awareness and the ability to make sound moral judgments.
Empowerment. Conger and Kanungo define empowerment as the process of raising others' self-efficacy perceptions. Self-efficacy is the individual's belief in his or her ability to successfully perform tasks. Finally, self-esteem has been defined as the extent to which an individual takes a positive view of their self. The concept of self-esteem has been well examined within sport and exercise contexts, both in terms of predictor or mental health and an outcome of sport participation. Conger and Kanungo define individuals' belief in their ability to influence outcomes and effectively perform their task. Especially, they focus on raising others' self-confidence perceptions, which means helping individuals recognize and believe in their own capabilities. Also, Conger and Kanungo empowerment is not just about giving people more responsibility or authority, but also fostering a mindset where they feel capable, motivated, and confident to take action. Therefore, coaches can have an empowering effect on followers in terms of raising their self-efficacy beliefs by delegating responsibility to followers, enhancing followers' capacity to solve intellectually challenging problems, and through encouraging athletes to generate new and creative ideas. Coaches can nurture athletes' self-esteem by setting and supporting athletes to achieve high expectation, expressing belief in their abilities, setting intellectually stimulating challenges, and by demonstrating how activities help support the group's collective goals and values. Coaches can also empower athletes by boosting their self-confidence, helping them feel more capable of success. This can be done by assigning responsibilities, which builds confidence, and by challenging athletes with engaging problems that enhance their problem-solving abilities. Specific consideration to coaching. From the perspective of moral excellence and to be viewed as possessing integrity, this consistency in words and action should reflect trust in athletes, fairness, and empathetic concern. Supporting the development of moral functioning that is supporting athletes to interpret normatively appropriate standards of what is right and wrong. Make moral judgment, priorities, moral motivations, and take responsibility for their action is of critical importance. The coach still has a role to play in this process. However, as their words and action will align with those of important others within an athlete's moral schema, potentially creating a heuristic for appropriate behavior within set context. Specific consideration to coaching involve tailoring strategies to meet the unique needs of each athlete or team. This includes understanding individual strengths and weaknesses, adjusting coaching methods to match learning styles, provide appropriate feedback, and fostering a supportive environment. Coaches must also consider factors like motivation, communication, and mental resilience to create a positive growth-oriented atmosphere that maximizes performance and development. Developing the 3 E's. As mentioned earlier, sport is not in itself a teacher for ethical thought and action. It is those involved in sport, the athletes, coaches, parents, fans, directors, and everyone in between who create the learning environment. In this section, consideration is given to how the moral atmosphere within sport may be co-constructed and habituated.
Individuals. As Tudor and Speaker suggest, the habituation of moral agency and functions is best understood by role modeling normatively appropriate behavior. Moral development is a complex process influenced by various factors including individual experiences, social interactions, and cultural context. As Tudor and Speaker suggest, understanding moral agency and its function can be significantly enhanced through the role modeling of normatively appropriate behavior. This approach aligns closely with social learning theory, a pivotal theory in psychology that emphasizes the importance of observational learning, imitation, and modeling in shaping behavior. By examining how these concepts interact, we can better understand the formation of moral characters and cultivations of virtues like fairness and integrity. Social learning theory is arguably one of the most well-known and influential theories in psychology. Social learning theory, developed by Albert Bandura, posits that individual learns behaviors, attitudes, and values through the observation of other, particularly model. This theory emphasizes that learning occurs not only through direct experience but also by watching others and imitating their actions. In the context of moral development, when individuals observe ethical behavior demonstrated by others, such as parents, teachers, or coaches, they are most likely to internalize behavior and adopt them as their own. For instance, a child who sees a parent helping a neighbor in need is likely to learn the value of kindness and community support. This observational learning process is enhanced when the role models are perceived as credible and ethical, creating an environment where normative standards can be established and normalized. Thus, social learning theory underscores the significance of a supportive moral atmosphere where individuals consistently encounter ethical behavior that they can emulate. Through consistent and regular practice and under the guidance of an ethical and empowerment coach, normative standards can be produced and normalized within the moral atmosphere. The role of ethical coach. The role of ethical coach, an ethical and empowering coach or mentor, is crucial in this learning process. Coaches can provide guidance, reinforce positive behaviors, and create an environment conducive to moral growth. By regularly practicing ethical decision-making and reflecting on the consequences of actions, individual can develop a deeper understanding of moral principles. This consistent engagement fosters a sense of accountability and encourages individuals to strive for ethical behavior in their own lives. An effective coach not only models appropriate behavior but also encourages critical thinking and self-reflection. This allows individuals to understand a reasoning behind moral choices rather than merely following rules. Such as holistic approach promotes the internalization of ethical standards, leading to the development of a stronger moral compass. From a virtue ethics perspective, which is arguably the most individuals, the challenge of coaching is to identify commonalities between individuals within one team and to tailor their environment accordingly. Within this complex set of social influences, the development of excellence and normatively appropriate standards of moral agency and function is a matter of perfecting interactive skills in perception, sensitivity, reasoning, and judgment, focus, and action. Coaching involves much more than simply teaching skills. It requires a deep understanding of individuals within a team and their shared values and goals. One of the key challenges for coaches is to identify commonalities among team members, which allows them to create an environment tailored to foster both excellence and appropriate moral standards. This context, the development moral agency, how individuals make ethical decisions and take responsibility for their actions, relies on perfecting several interactive skills include perception. Coaches must be able to observe and understand the behavior and motivation of their players. This awareness helps them to address both individual and team dynamics effectively. Sensitivity. Being sensitive to the feeling and perspectives of team member fosters a supportive atmosphere. When players feel understood and valued, they are more likely to engage in open discussions about ethics and teamwork. Reasoning and judgment. Coaches should encourage critical thinking by presenting moral dilemmas and guiding players in ethical decision-making process. This helps individuals develop sound judgment and consider the implications of their actions. Focus. Maintaining focus on ethical principles during training and competition reinforces the importance of integrity and responsibility. Coaches who model this behavior set a strong example for their teams. Action. Finally, translating moral reasoning into action is essential. Coaches must encourage players to apply their ethical understanding in real situations, reinforcing the idea that moral agency is an active process. In summary, effective coaching requires approach to understanding team dynamics and refining interactive skills. By tailoring the coach's environment to these principles, coaches can promote moral development and excellence within their teams, preparing individuals to navigate both competitive and challenges and ethical dilemmas in their lives.
We're going to talk about something that goes way beyond just playing and winning, how coaching shapes moral development. As coaches, mentors, or even teammates, we have a huge influence on athletes, not just in how they perform, but in who they become. So today, I want to break this down into two key areas: the groups and the environment, and how each one plays a role in building athletes with strong values. Number 1, groups, the power of team culture. Now let's talk about teams. No athlete succeeds alone. No matter how talented someone is, they have to fit into a team culture. And here's where values come in. Great teams are built on shared values: trust, respect, accountability. When a team's culture is strong, players push each other to be better, not just on the field, but as people. This is why organization cares so much about value fit. If a player's mindset and beliefs don't align with the team's culture, it affects everything, from communication to motivation and to overall success. But here's the real takeaway. It's not enough for athletes to say they believe in values like respect and honesty. They need to live those values every single day. And as leaders, we need to model that too. How are we setting the tone for the values we want in our teams? Number 2, environment, creating the right competitive atmosphere. The last piece of this puzzle is the environment we create for athletes, because beyond individual effort and team culture, the way we structure competition itself plays a huge role in shaping character. If the focus is only on winning at all costs, what message are we sending? Instead, we need to design environments that promote fair play, respect, and personal growth. This doesn't mean competition isn't important. Competition is what drives athletes to improve. But there is a difference between healthy competition and toxic competition. The best athletes aren't just driven to win. They are driven to be better than they were yesterday. Coaching with purpose. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with 3 things to remember when it comes to coaching with values. Number 1, consider your ethical impact. The way we coach shapes the way athletes think and act on and off the field. Number 2, strive for excellence, but not just in skills, excellence in character too. Number 3, empower your athletes. Give them the tools to make good choices and lead with integrity. At the end of the day, our legacy as coaches isn't just in the trophies won, it's in the people we help shape. So next time you're out there coaching, mentoring, or even just playing, ask yourself, are we building champions or are we building good people? Because the best teams, the best athletes, and the best leaders aren't just the ones who win. They are the ones who leave a lasting impact. Thank you.